For generations, mainstream media and modern institutions have handed us translated texts that obscure the original author's intent. We see this most clearly with the Creator's name. Many Christians today use generic titles like Lord or God, but our ancient texts are highly specific. His name is Yahuwah, and our ancestors used the title Elohim. Translators replaced them with broad, modern labels. The text explicitly instructs us to use his specific name. 1 Chronicles 16:8 states, "Give thanks unto Yahuwah, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the people." Reclaiming that name is our first step in drawing closer to him. But the loss of his name is only part of a much larger institutional conditioning. We are taught from primary school that we live on an accidental spinning rock, a cosmic accident, hurtling endlessly through a chaotic, infinite vacuum. To understand how our ancestors actually viewed the world, we have to completely discard that modern framework. We are going back to the foundational text of Genesis chapter 1. We are going to break down the exact architectural blueprint of creation, line by line, exactly as it was originally recorded. Reconstructing the literal, physical structure of our reality strips away the philosophical fluff we've been handed. It is the only way to unblind ourselves and restore a direct, unfiltered connection to the true origins of our existence. When we read Genesis 1, we immediately encounter an operational baseline. Elohim does not start with an empty void of nothingness. Water already exists, and darkness already exists. The ancient Hebrew timeline is established. Darkness comes first, and then light. A day begins at sundown. We can verify this exact timeline standard directly in the law. In Leviticus 23:32, Yahuwah establishes the parameter for observation. From even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. Evening to evening is the measurement of a day. This cross-section schematic shows the ancient structural understanding of our earth. On the second day, Genesis states Elohim created a firmament to divide the waters from the waters. The original Hebrew word here is Raqia. It does not mean empty space. It translates to a solid, beaten-out expanse, engineered as a physical dome to hold back the waters above. The scriptures rigorously defend the rigidity of this structure. Job 37:18 asks, "Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong and as a molten looking-glass?" Psalm 148 instructs the waters that be above the heavens to praise him. The text describes a hard barrier holding back literal, physical water. When we map out this architecture, we see three highly organized tiers. The first heaven is our immediate atmosphere, where birds fly. The second heaven is the Raqia, the physical dome itself. The third heaven sits entirely above those upper waters. This is the physical dwelling place of the Most High. This three-tiered architecture provides the specific physical mechanism for the Great Flood. In this model, the deluge was a deliberate, catastrophic structural breach of the Earth's housing. Genesis 7:11 gives us the exact mechanism of action. The same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. Elohim cracked the foundational floor to release the subterranean water, and opened physical windows in the dome above. Genesis 8 then documents the precise reversal of this protocol. The windows and fountains were stopped. The biblical earth is a deliberately engineered, contained habitat. It possesses physical mechanisms designed for deliberate environmental resets, functioning quite differently than modern weather models. Having established the ceiling, we have to examine the floor. On the third day, the dry land appears. Elohim does not create a spinning object. The ancient Hebrew worldview presents an earth that is completely fixed, permanently set upon literal, immovable pillars. We verify this stability across multiple texts. 1 Samuel 2:8 confirms, "For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them." Psalm 104 states, "He laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever." Once this fixed foundation is laid, Elohim activates the biological systems. Grass, herbs, and fruit trees are all fully functioning, and they are sustained entirely by pure, uncreated light. This happens on the third day, before the sun, moon, or stars are even manufactured. Looking at this overhead layout, we see the true mechanics of the fourth day. The sun and moon are local, relatively small luminaries. Genesis 1 explicitly states Elohim set these lights in the firmament. They are placed physically inside the dome, moving in assigned circuits over a stationary earth to dictate signs, seasons, days, and years. This local motion is proven during the Battle of Gibeon. When Joshua needed more daylight, he did not command the earth to stop spinning. Joshua 10 records that he spoke directly to the objects in motion. Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou, moon, in the valley of Ajalon. The physical luminaries themselves paused in the sky. With the environment running, humanity is introduced. But the scriptures separate the manufacturing phase from the deployment phase. Adam was formed from the earth outside the garden, and after a 39-day probation, he was physically relocated into the premium sanctuary of Eden on his 40th day. The chronological sequence continues with Eve. According to the texts, she was subjected to a biological time gap and was not brought into the garden until the 80th day. This dual timeline infographic maps exactly how this sequence became law centuries later. Leviticus 12 establishes the laws of childbirth purification. A woman bearing a male child undergoes 40 days of purification before entering the sanctuary. For a female child, the math totals exactly 80 days. The physical measurements of the earth and the chronological laws of our ancestors reflect a perfectly integrated system. These biological and mathematical standards set the stage for an even more organized spiritual design. The precision of these laws and the timing of Adam's arrival suggest that the physical cosmos was not built as a simple container. It functions as a highly organized blueprint that foreshadows the Messiah, Yahushua. We see these structural metaphors everywhere. The earth is sustained by uncreated light for 3 days before the sun exists, a direct parallel to Yahushua declaring himself the true light of the world. Just as Yahuwah built the first physical bride from the pierced side of a sleeping Adam, the spiritual bride is built from the pierced side of the sacrificed Messiah. Once you realize the perfection of this enclosed system, the motive behind modern cosmology becomes obvious. The enemy constructed the spinning globe and the infinite chaotic vacuum to sever our connection to the Most High. If you live on a random rock in an endless void, the Creator seems distant and humanity feels insignificant. 2 Corinthians 4:4 warns us of this systemic blinding, stating that the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. This is the result of modern institutional education, a curriculum engineered to replace absolute biblical architecture with secular theory. When you strip away the programming, your mandate is not to argue with the indoctrinated. Your mandate is to accept this reality. The stars are local, the ceiling is solid, and the Creator sits directly above our engineered structure. We are instructed to take this literal structural truth and teach it to waking Israelites. But we operate under the protocol given by the Messiah in Matthew 10:14. If someone rejects the truth, you simply shake the dust off your feet and walk away. Mastering these physical foundations allows us to dismantle the secular loop and restore a direct relationship with the Creator. We are not just reclaiming our history, we are preparing the nation for the return of HaMashiach.